Hi, my name's Rhona and I'm going to talk a little bit about what it is to become an adult woman and the things you go through as a girl. And I don't know how different it is for girls now, but certainly growing up in the 60s, I think you become aware of what you are in opposition to what you're not sometimes. So I had an older sister and a younger brother and a younger sister. So I guess I knew from a young age I wasn't a boy because my brother was a boy. But that didn't really hold any meaning for me until I started to want to do things that girls weren't supposed to want to do. So I loved football. I've always loved the outdoors. And I was never really discouraged from doing those things until I got to the age of maybe 9 or 10, when you were supposed to stop playing these kind of rough and tumble games with boys and supposed to stop playing football and be interested in other things. And of course I still was interested, but there was no outlet for that in these days for girls. And then I remember when I went to secondary school, I very much wanted to do subjects like woodwork and technical drawing, but instead you had to do home economics, which was cooking and sewing, which interested me not a jot. And even though my dad went up to school to bat for me to just see if I could do techie drawing and woodwork, there was just no way that girls would be allowed to do such subjects. So I think my first awareness of the difference between being male and female was that males were allowed to do a lot more than females were, and that females' behaviour and choices were restricted in a way that males weren't. My sister is 5 years older than me, and so from about the age of 13 she was feeding me feminist fiction to read, because she was herself by then a feminist. So I grew up through my teen years with an awareness of feminism and then a burgeoning sense of myself as a lesbian as well. I think as I went on into the workplace, I became very aware that you were more likely to get promoted. I trained as a nurse initially, more likely to get promoted as a mediocre male than you were as a really good woman. And I saw lots of mediocre males promoted nurses, and I saw some good guys promoted as well. But men who clearly were not as good as women, but they could talk the talk. And because people just expected men to be better at whatever they did. My next years, I think I worked in quite dominated female environments, so I didn't particularly experience great sexism at work. And strangely enough, when I joined the prison service, I then became a woman in a majority male environment. But I have to say, I never experienced overt sexism there. It was really, really interesting, possibly because I was in a promoted position, but also I think because the women who did work in the prison service were more protected than ostracised. It was a really interesting environment to work in. Obviously, I've been subject to sexism throughout my life, and I think, like all women, have multiple experiences of unwanted male attention, from being subject of an attempted abduction when I was 5 years old, through the usual things like flashing and men grabbing at you, men calling you names if you weren't interested in them. And I think that's just commonplace in women's lives. I don't know any women who haven't been subject to that. So that was certainly my experience. And I would be surprised if it's changed, because I don't think male attitudes to women have changed a great deal. And I think I've been surprised throughout my life when I've met men who have been aware of the issues that women face. And I remember my brother, when he was 17, telling me that he realised he should never walk behind a woman in the dark, that he always crossed over to the other pavement. And I was so proud of him, and I was proud of him, still proud of him, but I think it's still probably not the norm to meet men who have that kind of awareness of the difficulties that women face on a daily basis.